Hey there, strangers. Sorry for coming in late on this. I've been trying to install the one of the more up-to-date patches for Unity, and it's taking a while. And unfortunately, it's also slowing down my computer pretty badly. So it took some time to actually get some of the other applications up and running. So apologies on that. But we are back for another 2 p.m. PST Twitch stream. Today we are going to continue my work on um, the game that I've been making, GGG. So um, hopefully you'll stick around with me as I continue working on that. Haven't really heard from anyone, on giving any kind of tips or anything along those lines. Um, so I'm gonna have to assume that I'm still kind of on the right track for the most part. We'll see what happens. Um, I'm gonna try out something new here. Now my speakers are muted. There's really nothing for you guys that needs to be heard per se. So uh, I'm gonna turn on some music while I'm doing this. So so I'm gonna listen to some music in the background, and we'll see where to go from there. Hopefully it doesn't cause me too many problems here. Aha! There we go. Unity finally installed, so that's helpful. Okay, let me turn down the music here. It's gonna distract me a little too much if I don't actually, hear myself think, you might say. Oh, sounds a little loud there. Mute you. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this live. There we go. So, uh, hey, finally got the one of the more latest versions up and running. Now, I was about to install these two, but it was like, hey, this is an alpha, this is in beta. I'm like, okay. No. Rather not deal with alpha and betas. Um, I'm sure that they offer some additional features and bugs, to kind of wrap up, but yeah, no, I'm okay with that. All right, so we are going to change this to the latest version. And go ahead. Um, all right, I'll let it go ahead and do that. And while it's doing that, we'll go ahead and bring up some of the additional information here. Oop. Hold on a second. Just want to make sure I'm not, like, showing any information that doesn't need to be shown here. Here. Not really, but better safe than sorry. Alright, there we go. Sorry about that. Bring it back to bring it back here. So now, last we left off, I was able to get the code that I kind of wanted to do to the point where I can test out whether or not it's a wall. If it's any one of the three, or yeah, the three locations, testing to see whether or not the hex in question is the human city, and if any of those were the case, then I would create a I would basically create the aspect of let's build the floor tiles and the forest tiles on top of that. This is where I'm gonna have some difficulty again, because here we have the the game object instance equaling all this, and then we set that instance to the board holder. So I'm hoping that that's okay, but I don't really know. So I'm probably going to be needing a little bit of help here, folks, on this. If you're kind of with me on here, as I'm trying to figure out how to, get the tiles that are, you know, outer walls, cities, human city, and so on and so forth into a into this portion here. I may need to put this in its own separate function. I say that because here we have, two tiles that I'm going to try to ensure that I get them into, the board somehow. I don't know whether or not I need to do the the tile maps, or if I need to just put it into the full-on game board. I'm not sure about that. This is getting into areas of Unity that I'm not 100% sure on. So if you're familiar with Unity and you want to kind of help out with that, then then let me know. I encourage any kind of assistance on this. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to do something along the lines of actually I don't really need the floor tiles for any of this. Oop, no, don't want to insert. Don't really need floor tiles here. I just need to instantiate for each one of these. Now let's see. Let's go ahead and take care of this here real fast. Okay, so we're gonna do a little testing here to make sure that okay, and actually hold on, let's just copy that. Okay, don't need this anymore. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm checking to see whether or not the x and y coordinates are the same as the distance, you know, to make sure that it's set at that exact right spot. And then I test to make sure that, you know, in this part right here, I test to make sure that the the human city tile hasn't been already set. If it has been set, you know, if it's true, then it should skip this part. If it hasn't been set, then it will instantiate the location, which obviously, you know, that's not the correct one. I'll fix that later. But, you know, should be able to kind of change all this information necessary. So, now what I need to do is I need to do another I need to kind of, well, I want to verify which one of these I want to handle here. Don't need to worry about the human. That's not necessary. Okay, so I'm going to be looking at each one of these, and each one of these is a corner, obviously, and what we're wanting to make sure is that we set um, um, if we only have one of these corners and we only have one enemy city coming in, then we want to try to see if um, um, we want to check to see um, what which city goes where. Um, and we need to kind of be careful with that because um, if it's all three, then no big deal. We randomly choose one of the three to be placed on that particular tile. We move on to the next tile. We choose one of the two, place that, and then the last one gets the last one. Okay, so that's fairly easy um, on the triple. But when it comes to single monster or double monsters, you have to figure out um, one, whether or not that particular tile um, gets a city, and two, which of the cities gets placed. If it's just a single monster, then we don't need to worry about it. Um, if it's um, but if it's two, then you have to kind of choose between them. So um, you have to kind of figure out what you kind of want to do with this. So um, so there's going to be some amount of calculations that need to be done here. Um, I'm letting this kind of continue to build and all that kind of jazz. So we can kind of see it progressing. There we go. So let's see. Um, let's go up and actually kind of take care of this real quick. Now, I don't know whether or not I want to have multiple different outer wall tiles. I don't really know. I'm probably just going to have just a single wall tile for now, um, and just leave it at that. Um, so let's see. Okay. let's go ahead and actually take all that down here because I'm going to be needing them. So don't really need the array there. We just gonna say, hey, instantiate this particular tile. So don't really need to worry about that. So now we're going to come up here and drop these guys off. Okay. Come on, you. Weird. Playlist should have been just kind of going. Alright. Yes, I am currently listening to Avril Lavigne. Good song if you've never heard of it. Pretty tough if you've ever lost anyone. Okay. Now, let's see. Let's go ahead and just make 3 of those. I'll just get rid of this. Don't really need that. There we go. And there. Okay. Let me make sure that everything's kind of on the up and up here. So I'm just going to go here to make sure that they're okay, good. Yeah, I'm seeing the errors down below there. I know. I'll deal with that when I get to it. I just want to try to build what I need first before I really start like diving into all the errors that are coming up. So, music's still loud. There we go. I just needed this background. That's about it. So, let's see. Now, how am I going to go about determining, the... Well, I mean, I've already kind of determined the, the particular location, to see whether or not it actually kind of matches with the tile information. Now it's a matter of trying to make sure that I get the, you know, what cities to kind of go with. what am I going to kind of do here? And just to kind of see if you guys want to see what I'm actually listening to now. Well, Queen Bohemian Rhapsody there. I made my little, my own little playlist on YouTube. You know, seeing that YouTube's been kind of doing a lot of commercialization, you know, and I've basically been kind of I created a little playlist of all these, you know, music videos or whatnot that I enjoy listening to. So, all right. That's neither here nor there, though. That's not programming. um, okay. So let's see what. Um, how am I going to get these to kind of work with each other here? Oh, I'm saying, you know, okay. I have the I have the integer there, number of enemies, which is going to help. Um, you know what? I'm going to do another switch here. There we go. Okay. There we go. So now we have. So we're going to kind of copy this 3 times there. All right. So now, we're going to need to be careful with this here because if we have the number of enemies is equal to 1, then we're going to have to determine whether or not we want to handle these. I also have to figure out how to get the testing on testing these to see which one is the you know, which instance to kind of handle. Now, how am I going to go about doing this, though? let's just take it one step at a time here. Let's go with the with all three of them. So um, so I'm going to need all these here because I'm going to be initializing them each individually. Um, Here, I'm going to create a boolean here. City set equals false. Okay. So basically, what I'm going to do is that if these are going to be getting the testing of all of them kind of aspect is probably going to get a little messy. That's what I'm kind of thinking right at the moment. So we're just going to go ahead and we want to use, kind of like a random range there. Um, so for some, hmm, yeah, that should be fine. So so here's my thought line right at the moment. Um, um, it gets to here, okay, and I need to check to see whether or not which of these cities has been kind of set. Um, so what I'm going to do, actually, let's see. Um, no, my problem with this is that I don't know. Um, which which of these which of them has been set and which of them haven't. Um, if I'm doing this, randomly, okay, I won't know. Um, I don't know. Um, which tile gets placed at that particular spot. So like, okay, let me actually bring up the the board here again, so you guys can kind of visualize what I'm kind of talking about here. All right, so let's go down to map storage once it gives me that option. All right, so if if I go here, for example, okay, and it pops up here, and I have um, I'm I look at this, okay. I want to initialize, let it be ghoul, ghost, or goblin, or goblin, not and or. Um, so you know, you know, but once that's set, like say for example, goblin got set for this particular spot, right? Well, once it gets to this spot right here, I need to know whether or not which of these two, the ghoul and the ghost. Okay, and then once it gets to this spot, excuse me, I need to know which of which of these three hasn't been set yet, and set that last one. Okay. Um, so, um, so if it hasn't been set, then I want to do that. And then we want to set this to true, so that it will never actually go in here again. Okay, at this range. But here's the thing. What happens if I go back to this particular, I set this for the very first one, for example. Okay. It goes back into the number of enemies, case 3. Then it does a random range, number of enemies, and it picks case 2 again. Well, it's going to go to this and go, well, sorry, can't do that anymore. Okay. So it's never gonna, it's not gonna set, the other cases here, because the randomizer isn't gonna set it to that. And I can't reduce the number of enemies because I always want it to kind of come back to this particular case set here. Okay, so that it can always go through the randomization process. Unless enemies left. Okay, so what I'm going to do is okay. Okay, this doesn't work. What am I thinking? This I don't know what I was kind of thinking about this on this, because this isn't going to work either. Okay, because I'm making the assumption that case 2 will always be picked first. So if I started like reducing down the number of enemies, it'll keep on going to, the last case. It will always go to this one for the last point part, and which doesn't really work because you're so yeah. So uh, let's kind of step through it here, in code. Okay, so let's kind of clear up some aspect here. So we're always kind of, we can see the code. Okay, so we get to case 3. Okay, because that's the number of enemies. Okay, that's not going to change. Okay, then it goes to this set right here. Okay, so it picks a random number with the number of enemies left, which gets set to the number of enemies up here at the very beginning, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, 0, 3. So it'll, pick, 0, 1, 2, that kind of aspect. But what happens if it picks, the ghoul first off, picks, picks 0, right? So the ghoul set gets set. Okay. This gets reduced down to 2. Okay. And next time it comes around, it's going to only look at these 2. But ghoul's already been set. it's no longer looking at the goblin. So it's not going to work. You know, I was being mental there. Okay. So this this whole idea of reducing, not not helpful, not working. Okay. So as much as, this might be interesting, it might reduce down the amount of um, uh, this might kind of change things up a little bit. Um, it it doesn't really um, it doesn't really kind of help us out on that. So um, I have to figure out a easy way of doing this because this is because okay, I'm looking at this and I'm like going, okay, well, um, so I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, well, I can do all that kind of information there. Okay. Um, hey, the city has been set. Okay. So um, I can kind of close that down a little bit. Well, and if not city set, then I have to kind of continue on. Okay. So meaning that I've already tried to um, set um, I've already tried to set one of these. Okay. And or um, or um, if it doesn't actually get inside one of these, okay, then this is gonna remain false. So I need to kind of um, I need to figure out what I need here. Okay. Um, there has to be an um, easier way of kind of selecting these. Hmm. Can I actually? Can I actually pop? Okay, so um, pop hash at random. Hmm. Okay. You know, okay, so I'm looking at this and I'm like going, okay, this is inefficient. Okay, just to just to kind of bring that out there. Okay, it's inefficient. Okay, because I'm going through multiple of these switches. I'm creating multiple different calls for randomization and all that kind of stuff. That's not really going to work. Okay, so what I'm thinking of doing, okay, right at this point in time, so you guys can kind of understand what my mindset is, okay, is I throw each of these tiles into like a hash table or some kind of a list or some other aspect here, okay, and I I use that as a determining factor. Okay. So so when when it gets to this point, okay, I won't need this kind of boolean or whatnot. I just need to pop the information out of the list, remove that element from the list, okay, instantiate it, set the value to true just to kind of make sure that everything's kind of being done properly, okay, and then we can actually kind of use the whole enemies left kind of aspect to kind of make sure that it's being taken care of. But I want to move this outside of the for each. I want to do that because I don't want it resetting to 3 each and every single time. Okay, I don't really need the whole boolean anymore. Let's see. Let me make sure that I'm kind of doing this correctly with Unity. So let me go ahead and create a no, I don't need it. I don't need you to show me a video of this, guys. I just need the information here. This is inefficient right here. I just need to see this right here is kind of inefficient. I want to be able to kind of put the information directly into the list automatically. Just give me an API, damn it. You can go away, please. Hmm. Okay, what I'm trying to look for at this moment in time is that they're using, the information here, and I'm like going, okay, but you know, you should be able to add these automatically when you actually create the, um, when you actually kind of create a new list there. So let's just kind of, um, uh, I'm hoping that I can actually go about doing this. All right, so so now I have the list of game objects. Okay, that has the these three kind of contained within it, right? Um, so um, actually, hold on. I want to actually do this. Um, kind of do a. So here's the thought line here. Okay, so down here I'm already kind of setting everything kind of up, but what I want to do is I want to do the um, so so there we go. Okay, so um, let me go ahead and put the rest of these in here before I mess myself up a little bit later. Okay, so here's my thinking right at the moment. Okay, so here I'm already kind of um, building which ones I want to kind of make, right? So um, why not put the necessary information in Henry's list right here? Okay, I don't need to worry about like removing any kind of information, um, earlier or later or anything along those lines, because it's already kind of been filled in. Okay, so and it gets set each and every single time. So, and I can kind of tailor made for the monsters that are kind of there. So ghouls and ghosts. So we don't need goblins. Ghosts and goblins. So we don't need ghouls. And ghouls and goblins. So we don't need ghosts. And there we go. Okay, so now we have the enemy cities kind of already set, okay, as to which ones we want, okay, and now we, instead of all of this, we're going to let's see. Okay. I'm just putting it there just so I have it on hand. So, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to, we need to pop the, we want to do instantiate is equal to enemy cities, okay. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, to instantiate is still a game object. Yeah, it's a game object. So what we're going to do, we want to remove okay, so here's what I'm doing here, just to kind of, for you folks to kind of understand what's going on here. I'm going to eventually pull out the game object to put into to instantiate. Then I'm going to remove said object from enemy cities. Okay, so it's no longer going to be inside that list. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the whole, all this kind of information to kind of build it to the board holder and whatnot. Okay, and then when it comes back to the number of enemies, okay, it's going to automatically pull, the next element out of the enemy cities, because it's going to look at the amount that's still left on it. Okay, put it in instantiate, remove it, and we're always going to have a decent list out of it every single time. Okay, so and it's the list is going to be reset every single time we do a setup scene. Okay, so I won't have to worry about worrying about if I'm kind of messing up on the information kind of contained in there. I don't need to worry about the storage or whatnot. It's just going to be like a temporary list that I'm just going to use to kind of pop everything out. Okay, so we need to finish off this line here. We need to actually get the random value from a list. Okay, so random list element. Okay, so here's basically what he's kind of doing there. Um, so what we're going to do is do the whole random range again. And we're going to do enemy cities length, or actually it's count, right? So okay, so that should work, right? It's going to pump out um, the game object, whether it's School City, Coast City, or Goblin City, and to instantiate. Then we remove said object from the enemy cities, and then we can use that to instantiate later. So I think that works, right? Um, okay, so now uh, we're um, we're we're going to be kind of wondering about this for these other two here. So um, I'm still going to want to do um, these here. Okay, we're still going to want to pop out these values and instantiate it and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's fine, but the problems with the case one and case two, okay, is whether or not we actually want it at these particular locations, okay. Um, and determine whether or not we actually kind of want to um, we want to make sure we're handling this properly. Okay. Um, me go ahead and remove these comments because that's confusing. Don't want people being confused by this. You know, with the enemy cities being um, being in a hash table or a list that I can just kind of remove, I don't really need these. Yeah, I don't really need these booleans. You know what? Oh, hold on. Let me just go ahead and comment them out for now. Because I may need to kind of go back to them later. Maybe. I kind of doubt it. It would be kind of nice if I could actually do, music at the same time of these streams without having to put it onto YouTube and get hit with copyright. But, at least I can kind of get away with um, I can get away with having it in my ear, you know, muting it through the stream and not having any problems. But I can only do that today because otherwise I'd be like, muting um, the game audio as well. So, uh, um, okay, I don't really need these anymore. Okay. Okay, so um, okay, so here's this hotline here. Okay, I'm actually going to use enemies left again. Okay, but in this case, um, I'm going to determine, um, I need to kind of determine, do I want to do it for the first time that the tile list gets popped up, the second time or the third time kind of aspect. Okay, I'm still gonna kind of work on that. But, if I've already taken care of, like, eh, we've determined that, hey, this particular tile is good to go. We'll throw the one enemy tile on that particular tile. Then we don't need to worry about going back um, into this each and every single time. So it's just going to ignore it. Okay. Um, if that's the case, then I'm going to want to make sure that I get the okay, what I want to do is get um, I want to put these in here. Okay, so um, okay, so just to kind of talk through what I'm doing here. Okay, um, so let's take it by a step kind of aspect. So we get to this particular tile. Okay, um, which is in fact the bottom left for some reason. Okay, we'll start with that first. Okay, so we get to the bottom left. Okay, um, the top corner still hasn't been done, kind of aspect. Okay, so we get to the number of enemies and we find out, hey, the number of enemies is actually a single amount. We have you know we have single number of enemies. Okay, so we're going to go inside here. At this point, we want to determine whether or not we actually want this tile to be an enemy or not, right? Okay, so um, I'm still gonna have to figure that part out. Okay, but um, let's say we did figure it out. That it does need to be an enemy. Okay, so we instantiate it, right? Okay, we set the number of enemies -1, which will remove we'll change the 1 to 0. Okay, so next time we come in here, we get to the next one, which is, this particular tile, for example. Okay, uh, we get to the number of enemies, and we try to see whether or not the number of enemies left is greater than 0. It's not, it's at 0. So we come here and we go, okay, because it's not an enemy tile, we want to put just a floor tile and a forest tile down. Okay, and um, that's the whole reasoning behind it. Okay, um, if no enemy cities are left, use floor and resource. Yeah. So there you go. Okay. What happened to my music? Yes, continue watching. God damn it, stop that. uh, Alright. Alright, now we have to actually figure out um, whether or not we want the tile to be used. Okay. Which gets tricky here. Okay, because um, we want to determine um, we want to make sure that if we reach a tile, okay, or once we reach the tile, we want to make sure that um, we can kind of pick at random what we want. We need to kind of make sure that um, you know do we want this to be, if we only have one enemy city, do we want that tile to be, that tile to be, or that tile to be? We gotta figure that out at random. So how am I going to go about doing that? Because it becomes a little problematic because let's say I do like a 50-50 chance, okay, that one of those tiles, or it does like a 50-50 chance to see whether or not I put a city there or not, right? So it goes here, says, hey, I'm going to do 50-50. It picks it determines that that particular tile is indeed the the tile that I want. Okay, so I put the city there. Well, if I only have one city, then why would I check this tile and that tile? Okay, or maybe it didn't check that. Okay, maybe it didn't determine that this tile was the tile that I want the city at. So it goes here, okay, to this tile, says, do you want this to be the tile? And says, sure, I want it to be the tile. But how do I know? That's the um, I have to be careful with this. Like another uh, process here. We have three tiles, right? And I have two cities to put down. Okay. Um, I go to this tile, the first tile that it's going to see, and what happens if it says no, I don't want it? How am I going to tell that this tile and this tile that they have to be city tiles? Okay. Or if I select this one as a city tile, then we have this tile and or this tile for one other city. I have to make sure that I'm getting, um, as I pass through each one of these tiles, that it may or may not be a um, it may or may not be a city. I know what to do. I know what to do. So, um, but wait, hold on. So let's try this out a little bit here. Let's say, um, uh, or it says that count is equal to enemies left. Okay, so let me kind of explain what I'm doing here a little bit here. Okay, so I'm doing the whole 50% kind of aspect, just do random range, um, 50%, okay, or at least that's the intention here. Okay, 0 to 49 doesn't go in, anything over 49 goes into, uh, oh, god damn it, come on, what is going on here? Notepad, you're screwing up on me here. Okay. Um, so if it's, you know, if it's a random number, then great. Okay. It's gonna move in and drop off the, um, it's gonna determine that it needs to, um, that there needs to be some, uh, enemies that get placed, right? Um, otherwise, um, if there's no more enemies left, then it does the floor tiles, right? Um, if we're if it doesn't pass some randomization, but there's the number of enemy cities is equal to the number of enemies left, um, then it needs to, um, we need to kind of drop off the, um, well, oh, okay, hold on, I might be messing up a little bit here. Um, yeah, I think I am. Matter of fact. Um, so the idea is that if I have two enemies left, for example, and we get down to these two tiles that are left, then they have to be, enemy cities. But, um, but the number of enemies left doesn't change unless we remove um, um, this doesn't really change based off of the um, the number of enemies left doesn't change unless the enemy city gets placed. So um, so let's let me kind of uh, discuss I'm what I'm facing here. So you guys can kind of understand where my mental aspect is. Okay, so um, this isn't going to work correctly. Okay, because let's step through this. Um, so let's say our enemy count is at 1, right? Um, so if um, so our count is at 1, our enemies left um, starts out at 3. Okay. So that doesn't really make too much sense. Hmm. No, I might be able to get this to work here. Um, so if I do this, so we keep on dropping enemies left down by 1 each and every single time. It's going to start off at 3. Or wait, no. Number of enemies changes based off of the actual number of enemies. Yeah. No, that's not correct. Sorry. I was thinking that it might be at 3, which isn't correct. Um, see, so um, so the count and enemies left is always going to be the same, right? So you have a count of 2, enemies left is equal to 2, so it's always going to go inside no matter what. Okay, so this isn't working. Okay, this isn't going to work. Silly me. Um, so what we want to do is do um, let's see. Um, tile. Let's see. Enemy tile left. Okay, um, so what I'm going to do is say, hey, um, how many of these 3 tiles are left available? Okay, So, so what I'm going to do is go, okay, so it goes into the number of enemies, which is going to be 1 in this case. Okay, it tries out the tries out if the it checks to see whether or not I want to if the randomization is still good enough. Okay, then we check to see whether or not the the number of enemy cities still left in the hash array is equal to the number of tiles still available. So let me try to kind of step through this with you here. So let's go to the first tile. We check to see whether or not the randomization is good, right? Okay, so we're like going, okay, this randomization says, yeah, you're good, okay? Then it goes inside and sets it, okay? But what happens if it doesn't, okay? So it's going to say, nah, I'm good. So it removes one from the enemy tiles left, saying that there's 2 left, okay? It goes down here, okay, and checks the randomization again, okay? Does it work? No, it doesn't. So it removes 1 more, so it just has 1 left. Okay, so we then get to this point, and what happens if the randomization fails once again? Well, this one right here says, whoa, 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 wait up here. The number of count, the number of cities still left in the array is now equal to the number of tiles left on the map that I have to work with here. So it it does go inside here and it does instantiate that individual. Okay, so that works. Okay, now what I want to do now is I'm going to change this up a little bit because I want to have this check here placed at the very beginning, and we're going to and that. Okay, so so for example, like we get to this first tile right here, right? We've already determined that there's already still a number of enemies left, okay? Because number of enemies left is equal to number of enemies. We have 1 to start off with, right? Okay, so this is going to be true on that first tile, right? Always. So this is always going to be true on the first tile. No big deal, right? Then let's say that we get to the second tile, okay? Let's say we get to we're checking that, and random range doesn't set it, for example, okay? Then we get to this tile, and enemies left is still at 1, so this is still true. But what happens if it actually did set this for the 1 enemy tile? Then once it gets to this point, then it's going to be false. We don't have to worry about this anymore. Done. Don't need to worry about those checks anymore. So, I mean, still going to be subtracting 1 from that, but it doesn't really matter because we're doing the check first. So we're good there. Okay. So we're going to do the exact same thing down here, because it's a nice efficient way of of handling all this. So yeah, we'll do that. There we go. Okay, so we're actually pretty decent here now. Okay, so we've actually determined um, whether or not we want to initialize an enemy tile for these particular spots at random, 50%. I didn't really care. I just wanted to have some kind of randomization to it, to determine, hey, do we want something there or not, Um, and then, of course, it's gonna randomly choose one of the enemy cities at random out of the list and place it, and we're going to instantiate it. Okay. Um, Now, again, I don't need to worry about floor tiles or anything along those lines when it comes to the enemy cities. Okay, it's gonna be its own tile, and it doesn't need to worry about um, uh, it doesn't need to worry about getting to um, we're not going to have any kind of like monsters or anything like that fall on it or walk on it or anything along those lines. So we don't need to worry about that. Okay. Um, so, um, okay. So I think I'm pretty decent on this so far. But again, I'm stuck at that whole aspect of, um, okay, I don't need to worry about this. Or no, I do need to worry about that because, just in case. Um, if for some odd reason we have uh, a double up on this, I don't see how, but if for some odd reason we do, then this right here will make sure that we're covered. So, um, okay, so we're actually doing pretty good right now. Doing pretty good. Um, all right, so um, and if you've ever done any kind of programming, always try to name your variables or whatnot, you know, efficiently, or something that kind of uh, you want them kind of descriptive enough. You don't need to have like a full on. Uh, you don't need to have it, super long kind of aspect, but you just need it enough to kind of describe what's what's going on there. Okay. Um, I remember there was a website that I used to kind of read back in the day. I've kind of fell out from reading it, but I think it's still around. Um, Here, let me. The daily WTF. There's this website here that if you ever kind of done any kind of coding or whatnot, it's pretty hilarious because of the fact that this individual kind of aspect, he created this little website because he kept on finding little problems from code from time to time, and it was quite hilarious because of the we coders, we know that we make mistakes from time to time, or at least we should. And if that code has kind of gone out into the world, then what happens if someone goes back to it and looks up the code and goes, wait, why did someone do it this way? Okay. Like, for example, okay, I actually I actually had one of those moments where I was like on, okay, you you know, it was a problem with login, okay? I had someone say, if, username is equal to value and password, equal to value 2, for example, okay, then it went in, right? And I'm like on, oh, okay, sure, okay. But they also had something else. Um, they had something like, uh, enter website, right? Hey, there we go. But then they had this. I was like, um, wait, what? They basically had something like that, where it was like on, hey, you enter in your username and password correctly, great, no problem. We got you covered. You can come on in. Then they allowed them to kind of go in anyway afterwards. I was like on, okay. Actually, kind of, I think I sent that little clip into the website there kind of aspect. You know, Obviously I didn't like include like really specific company details kind of aspect because let's not do that. But I just sent that little clip of information to them, and I think they kind of featured it at one point in time. But there was some really fantastic articles that Alex actually kind of posted. Let's see. Um, let me daily WTF you at our site. Yeah, it was a this one was kind of hilarious kind of aspect. So if you've ever kind of done any kind of coding or whatnot, then this one was absolutely fantastic. Um, you know, Basically, When you're looking at a website like this, all you need to do is just, you can you view the source code, and if they actually have, any kind of password or username here in the anywhere here, then you can basically, copy and paste it kind of thing. Like, they had this pretty much, you know, within their source code. And it was like going, Alex was like, I can actually get into your site without any problems there, guys. So it's, I enjoyed kind of reading this from time to time way back in the day, because it kind of gave you an insight as to what not to do. Um, when I was actually in college and then part of the computer science club, um, I kind of brought this up on our weekly meetings, um, or it was bi-weekly, whatever, um, and showing everybody, yeah, you don't really want to do that kind of aspect. So it's a fun little read if you guys ever have like the time and stuff like that. I recommend that site. It's enjoyable. Or if you've ever had your own kind of um, head scratchers kind of aspect, it's like, wait, what? you know, we coders, we know that, there's those times where you get like an error message and it's like, error null, huh? That kind of aspect. So, um, it's a fun little website from time to time. Okay, so let's get back into this here a little bit. Okay, so we're instantiating all these elements here, okay, but we're not. Um, Now we have to actually kind of put them into into the the board, the objects themselves. Now, I was kind of hoping that someone would kind of be in here to kind of, you know, um, I could kind of talk with about this. So if, last time we had these, different tile maps, right? Um, do I want to, um, if I'm setting the parent of the instance that I'm generating from this here, um, then do I set it to the GGG board? This one? Do I set it to that one? Or do I set it to that one? I'm not sure. That's why I'm um, kind of wondering about this right now. Um, do uh, they were kind of talking about how these were, um, like different layers of a Photoshop kind of aspect. Um, so do I, um, am I setting um, like for example here, I'm gonna kind of take this here real quick, okay, because I wanna make sure that I'm doing this correctly here. So okay, so like I move that up here, for example. Okay, just for an example, just to kind of use it on hand. I'm I'm actually thinking about actually moving this into its own unique function. Okay, so that I can just kind of call that function, and it handles it each and every single time based off of what I send to instantiate, you know, the x and y value, and then set it to, you know, whatever tile that I wanted to set it to, right? Okay, so now let's look at the outer walls here. Okay, the outer walls are going to be, you know, impassable kind of aspect. So I'm going to be putting it on the baseboard, or at least that's the thought process on this, right? So do I want to do something like that? So that, you know, it takes the tile from the outer wall tiles. It makes a game object based off of the location, you know, of the, you know, row and column, you know, the x and y value, you know, and then makes that instance, you know, sets the parent of that instance to the baseboard, or do I make it an instance of the GG board or GGG board? I'm not sure. So that's what I'm gonna have to kind of face right now. So if any of you that are watching, not that there are a lot of you here, or at the very least, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of. Maybe you guys are all kind of private or something like that. If any of you are watching, if you know what I need to do, you know, you know, do I, you know, you know, setting the parents, do I use the GGG board, which is the top of everything? Do I use the baseboard? You know, do I use either one of these? To be honest, I'm not sure. I personally don't really know, and that's what's kind of throwing me off a little bit here. So if you have an answer to that, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna need to look it up. So uh, now I got the that bit of information by looking at, you know, Bracky's kind of tutorial about, you know, having kind of like a different layer on it. Um, but he didn't really do anything code wise on it, and that's why um, that's why I kind of had to be a little careful on this, because you know I'm you know I'm following the style of the 2D roguelike, you know, for the most part. Um, Obviously, it's not the exact same kind of aspect of it. So, but um, hmm. Okay, so let's see. Uh, Hmm. Okay, I'll get there eventually. I'll get there. I'll get there. Okay. Let's see. Don't think this is really what I need right at the moment, so um, not what I need. Oh, right, this song. Fantastic song if you've ever heard of it. Old one, but still. Okay, so it's looking like we have it's looking like someone was actually kind of using the town map ground for the hmm. The hmm. Hey there, Jer. I'm doing pretty good today. Um, Thank you for coming on back. I'm actually kind of struggling a little bit right at the moment. Um, so, um, so obviously you can kind of see this later if you wanted to, but I was able to actually take care of all the testing that I needed to do to determine, how I want to get the enemy cities and all that kind of stuff in. But now I'm trying to determine how the game is going to see, how Unity sees them. So, and I don't know how to go about doing that. Um, I do and I don't. So, through um, the 2D roguelike tutorial, it tells you, hey, set the instance that you're setting up and set the parent to the game object that is the board. Okay. But based off of last week, we, you know, I watched that one video from Bracky um, that was talking about, hey, you can make two different types of tile maps. Um, and now I'm trying to figure out, um, you know, trying to combine my knowledge from the tutorial from to the roguelike with the information that Bracky gave. There's obviously information that's not meshing completely obviously because You know, um, let's face it. You know, the when you're building something unique, you're not always going to find the right information every single time. So, um, oh no, it's part of the process, man. It's part of the process. Uh, you know, um, whenever you get hit with any kind of challenge, it's always, um, I mean, unless you can find the exact information that you're looking for that maybe someone else has done, then great. You can get that information and run with it. But if you're, or if you personally know what you kind of need to do, then you're you're running forward, right? You're taking it and you're continuing on. Okay. Um, but if you don't, and you don't really have any other guides or information or anything along those lines, then you have to do that search. You have to kind of you have to kind of do that whole Google search to try to see if you can actually kind of come up with the information that you need, or find something that comes close to what you need to come close to what you're looking for. So, just keeping myself kind of, I got some music playing in the background right at the moment, and that's keeping me upbeat today. So, obviously, I can't, um, seeing that I'm putting this on YouTube, I can't play the music because then I'll get hit with those copyright claims like, hey, you're playing music that is copyrighted. We're going to take all your money. Oh, music industry. Why? Um, but whatever, what have you. Um, so this is where things I'm getting to that point where I'm not quite sure exactly, you know, at as I kind of mentioned before, I have to get the board done in order to actually kind of proceed onward. So I have to kind of get this done, but I'm not quite sure um, how exactly I need to kind of. Um, so let's go ahead and. Don't really need to return anything. Um, tile parent. Just gonna go ahead and create that function that I was kind of talking about a little bit earlier here. Move this stuff inside here. And then we'll okay, so game object, instantiate me, um, and row, and column. Okay, and we want another game object. Uh, tile map. Alright, so gonna do this. I'm hoping I'm doing this correctly. It's gonna be interesting otherwise. Okay, now we're going to do this. Okay, and seeing that this is the outer walls, we want to use base tile holder maybe? I'm hoping that's correct. Alright, so we're going to take that. We're going to put that down here. It's going to remain the base tile holder, so that's good. We're going to do this once again. We're going to change it up here. Oops. And instead of the base tile holder, we want the resource tile holder, at least. I'm hoping that's what I need to do. Gotta take care of those. This is all fairly repetitious here. It's okay. Oh, music, why are you cutting out on me again? Yes, continue watching. Damn it, stop that. I hate it when the playlist goes, "Hey, are you still watching?" Yes, I'm listening. Stop it. Okay. Okay, good there. Okay, put you there. Put you there. So how you doing there, Jadine? How's your day been? I'm hoping I'm doing this right. Like I said, if there's anyone that's kind of watching along with me and you can basically say, whoa, hold up there, Jim. You might want to consider doing this instead. And please let me know. You know, chat message or comment. You know, in the videos. Who knows? Maybe in later coding streams, someone will basically go, why are you using Quintrurian or something along those lines? I don't really know. But Um, you know, so, okay, so we don't really need that anymore. Clear that out. Um, okay, so Pokemon fan game, made some soundtracks for shmup. It's already made, but the creator needs more music for a game jam game called Blackout. Nice. Hey, man. You know, um, as long as you're still moving forward, then that's all good, man. Right? Um, and hopefully you get paid for the work that you do. Um, okay. I think I think I'm good. Okay. I'm not 100% sure here. Okay. Um, based off of the 2D roguelike, you're trying to get the game object that you're playing, whether it's that outer wall tile, enemy tiles, what have you. Okay, and you're setting it to a parent. Okay, or you're setting the parent for that particular tile. Um, my problem right now is, you know, do I do it for the GGG board, baseboard, or resources? What is the parent? I'm I believe, I believe that um, because I'm making two layers, um, everything that has a base layer kind of thing, that the the walking layer, um, the you know the you want the ground level kind of thing, the foundation. Okay. um, that's what the baseboard is going to be. And then I have everything that's kind of like on top of that, which is I'm determining as the resources layer, that will have um, all the characters, all the resources, everything that's going to be kind of being that I'm going to be watching on a closer eye to. Um, so I'm hoping that because I'm setting the x and y value for these values, that it's going to that the game itself is going to be able to manage the base and the resource layer. Fingers crossed. Um, with that in mind, I don't think I used this particular. No, I didn't. So I can probably comment that one out. Um, well, here's the thing. I don't have a credit card or PayPal, so unless people want to mail me the cash, I just tell them to donate to another streamer I've listed on my Twitch page, or some kind of cat saving organization. All right. Um. Hmm. Oh wait, because you don't actually have a credit card. Um. But no, you should. You should be able to set up a PayPal with like a bank account. If you have a checking or savings, you should be able to set something up like that. Um, with like a bank account kind of aspect where you can just kind of have them, um, use the whole PayPal to put directly into that if you want to um, go through that kind of aspect, and uh, should be able to kind of handle that. Um, or there's other donation sites if you want to kind of go through that. But I mean, obviously, you've probably been doing this a little bit longer than I have. That's for sure. So there's ways where you could actually kind of get paid if you wanted to, but um, um, but yeah, okay. But that's none of my business. So, um, like for example, I think I didn't set up a donation down below on my Twitch page because um, I didn't really want donations along those lines anyway. I mean, once I get to an affiliate status, then um, I'm gonna have to kind of deal with that a little bit more because of the whole bits and subscriptions. We'll see what happens. Uh, yeah, I don't have one of those either. My boss, when I'm actually at work, pays me in cash. Well, that's kind of rare nowadays, there, bud. But um, it's kind of rare. But I mean, there's some people that don't really want to kind of get involved with anything. Um, um, but be careful with the whole credit card thing. Okay, my parents, they never used credit cards either, and it made getting any kind of like loans, or like if you want to take out a loan for like a car or a house or something along those lines, it caused them problems because they had no credit history. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? Taking out a credit card is always dangerous kind of aspect, especially if you're not careful with it. Okay, but if you have at least one, you can kind of determine some amount of credit history, and um, banks and all that kind of stuff are a little bit more happy with it. Um, so, but yeah, that's old history for me. So, okay. Um, but let's see, what am I doing here? Okay, so we got these. So we're good there. Okay, so we want to determine this portion here now. Okay, so we've gotten to the point where we've been able to set up the human city. we're able to set up all the enemy cities. So we're good there, and we're able to set up the outer walls. Okay. Now we need to worry about the for all the other tiles that we never really need to kind of worry about, or that not worry about, all the other individual tiles that aren't outer walls, cities, and all that. Then we want to set up a floor and a resource for every single last one of them. So, but we want to we want to be able to kind of switch between them, switch between the resources. So this is going to be interesting. So I'm going to do this again. Number of resources. Okay, so I'm doing it this way because we want to have okay, so based off of the number of enemies we have, whether or not it's 1, 2, or 3, okay, we're going to have different resources as well. Okay, so we're going to have we're going to need to do kind of a changing, a switch to kind of switch between these. So to kind of toggle back and forth between them. So I'm gonna need to do something along the lines of, you know, if forest has been selected, and we go on to sunstones, then we go on to the holy water pools, then we go on to the mithril ore, then we go back to forest. That's the whole. We're gonna kind of go one by one through the list. So so actually, hold on. We want to start it off with 0 first, though. Okay, so we're going to do a case here. We're always going to put down a floor tile there. And we're going to do none of resources. Okay, so we're just going to do 0. So we're going to be changing this up here a little bit. Okay. Okay, so okay. Oh wait. I want to do sun tiles. Holy water pool tiles. mithril trials. There we go. Okay. So we have all that. We do that. Okay, so okay, so I know that I don't need to worry about checking to see number of resources here. So what I want to do, if number of resources is equal to a number of enemies, then the number of resources equal to 0. Okay, so it always returns back to this right here. Okay, and we're going to basically repeat this each time kind of aspect. So so let's see. We need an else and put that in there. Okay. If it's at case 3, then I already know that that we're at the end, so we're just going to go ahead and set it to 0 kind of aspect. So just to kind of let folks know what's happening here. Okay. I need to make sure that the number of resources that's being placed on the map is the resources that are associated with the number of enemies. Oh, but no, wait, it's a little different than that though. It's different because the different enemies change. So okay, let me. I screwed up. Okay, so I'm looking at this thing going, hey, number of resources. Okay, so we're going to, so we're always going to need forest. So that's fine. No problems there, right? Well, let's say we have only one monster, right? Well, because we only have one monster, we're only going to go to case 1, right? Okay, we say, hey, number of resources is equal to number of enemies. We have, we have a single enemy, and there we go, right? We're going to place sunstones for every single resource other than forest. Okay, forest, sunstone, forest, sunstone, forest, sunstone, right? Well, I screwed up because, well, it might not be the ghouls. It might be ghosts. Silly me. Okay, so this, now that I'm looking at this is a little tougher than what's necessary here. Or this is going to be a little tougher. So, I might need another list just so I can get the necessary resource object. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Let's see. So this is this is a little different than what I kind of need right at the moment. Or um this got a little bit more complex than what I was kind of imagining. Um, and I got an hour left. Yay! Okay. Um, I'm like poo right at the moment. Think, think, think. Okay. Um, um, hmm. There, game object arrays. Okay, this is not prep for monster cities. This is prep for resources. Hmm. Let's see. How do I go about doing this here? Well, let me just try to talk it out. Um, so here's the problem. Um, so I go down here, okay, and we have our monsters that are being generated by this chart here. Okay, the level, this number here, this first number is basically determining, what kind of monsters I'm gonna be facing and how many. Okay, so level 6, I have all three of them. Level 4, for example, will have, just ghosts and goblins kind of aspect. Okay, each one of these monsters has their weakness. Okay, whether it's sunstones, holy water pools, or mithril ore. Okay, so if I have, say, ghosts and goblins, okay, I'm gonna want these two. I don't need sunstones. Okay, so I can't put, sunstones into the map because I'm dealing with these two here. Um, so, um, so now, I'm able to determine, some deals with, with this switch statement. You throw the monsters in there, and you can determine the level and what information gets put in there. Okay, what number, and the city and the enemy cities, the number of enemies, and all that kind of jazz. Okay, now I have to figure out, you know, what of these three resources, um, whether it's one, two, or all, do I use along with force. And I have to, I need to, uh, here in this particular else statement, okay, the whole intention was for me to kind of go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, just placing them down as you kind of go along. But it might not always be that case. It might be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that kind of aspect. Or, 1, 2, 1, 2. So how how do I go about doing that? Okay. Each each one of the resources has their array of what's going to be placed inside of them. Um, I may need, I'm going to be having, or I'm going to try to maybe get someone to do some art for me. Um, because I don't know if I can actually kind of do this myself. And so far, the art assets that I've found hasn't really looked that great for me to where I can kind of get what I need. That's one of the problems with trying to make something um, unique, is that trying to find art assets that are um, the art assets might not match each other. If you're going, hey, like, I need some zombies, I need some skeletons. Well, these zombies look fine, but these skeletons don't look right. So you have to go to another asset, and oh, these zombies and these skeletons look fine. It's like, oh, okay, focus, Jim, focus. Okay, so how am I going to go about doing this? Weird Al Albuquerque. Now that video, that song isn't really well. I don't know if he actually did any kind of music video on it. I mean, you can find like videos of his concerts singing it and whatnot, but I actually kind of someone actually did a flash version of it, and it's hilarious. Just the what the guy kind of did with it. So you know, um, because that's not it, and that's not a picture of it whatsoever. Oh yeah, getting sidetracked. Sidetracked. Focus, Jim. Focus. Let's see. Is this is the information here gonna be filled by the time I place these inside a list? Hmm. Not sure. I don't know if I can actually do this or not. So, okay, so okay, so gonna go ahead and try it this way and see if this kind of works. Not sure because I don't know if whether or not I can actually do um, um you know the whether or not this is actually possible. So I'll have to kind of look that up and see whether or not that's the case or not. But for the time being, this will have to do. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this here so that I can use the names down here. Okay, so put the force tiles in here. There we go. Okay, so we're going to throw these sun tiles in the goals. Bear claws? Wait a minute. I'll go check. Okay. Okay. So sunstones are done. Okay, so oh, Weird Al. Never change, man. Never change. All right. Okay, so I'm hoping that this will kind of work for me here. Okay, what's going on here? Got a few notifications, emails, blah blah blah. All right, not as much. Okay. Okay, so for the resource list this time, I'm going to do something a little different here. Um, let's see. So game object temp is equal to null. So we're going to do temp is equal to oh, resource list. Resources. Okay, so okay, so we're gonna change this up a little bit here. So this is what I'm hoping is gonna happen. Okay, so I have this list. Then I'm gonna basically put these arrays into each individual spot. Okay, like if I have all three of them, for example, I put every single last one into that list. Okay, and then once again I use the number of resources as it kind of increments along. Okay, pulling out each individual of the arrays out of it to place inside temp, and then we're going to do temp to look into the into each individual array to pull out, you know, whatever tile or extra information that's contained inside of it into the to initiate, so that we can kind of set it to the parent, and then we increase the number of resources. That should work in theory, okay? But what happens in theory and what happens in practice doesn't always match up. So I'm going to basically put the temp down for all these, because it's not the individual these individual tiles per se, it's what's being pulled from resource list. And everything else should work correctly still. One would hope. We'll have to kind of check whether or not that's actually kind of possible or not. So, yeah, everything else should be fine. I'm not pulling anything out of the arrays or anything along those lines, so this should be fine. I'm not. I'm nulling the object out each and every single time, so I don't um, I don't have any kind of collisions or any kind of data overrides or anything along those lines. I'm just making sure that it's pointing to the right set of objects, or at least that's the plan. Whether or not it actually does this correctly, I'm not sure. Okay, so I think it's done for the most part, I believe. Or um, at least, um, pseudocode, you know, uh, I believe I've pretty much gotten everything that I kind of need to do done. So, um, okay, I think I'm good. So now it's just a matter of cleaning it up, I think. Which means I need to go here and start handling all these errors. Um, I have quite a few. Okay, interesting. Why are you trying to do an asset refresh? Hmm, what the heck? Hmm. This is gonna cause a more of a problem for me, I think. I don't know how to fix that. Oh, you're kidding me, right? So because of my naming conventions on the folder, even though it works in Windows, um, they're not able to determine the full path of where my folder is. Hey guys at Unity, if you're watching this, you guys might need to try to handle this. Or um, or maybe limit me as to how I make my title for the game, because this was set by you guys. Or I was able to create this naming convention through your own process here. So if you guys can't handle that, then what am I supposed to do here? Okay, but obviously I need to kind of fix this whole process here. So we're looking at here, and it's saying, hey, this isn't right. Does that change anything here? Doesn't look like it. Still having a problem with it. Okay. What is going on here? Okay, so I basically had to make the constructors public. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, so we're looking at 271 here. Oh, wait, this is transform. Right. Board manager hex tile get hex key is a method which is not valid in a given context. Okay. Oh, well, probably be actually helpful if I actually included the, um, yeah, there we go. Alright, you need breaks for every single case. Which, you know, obviously I messed up on. I need to actually go through that. I don't understand why they have, why they need a break for case 3, but, or, you know, the last case. But whatever. Let's go ahead and get all those in there. Okay. So 472. Okay, I knew that I would have some problems with these. Okay. Okay, so, oh, right. Okay, so what I was kind of hoping for was that the constructors would be able to kind of handle the inputting the data in, but apparently that's not the case. So I have to do something like this. Yep. So I have to do enemy cities dot add, cut that, put that in there, and that should work. Okay, so and I have a funny feeling that I have to do this individually for each and every single one of these. So yep. Oh, come on. Yes. Keep on watching.
Maybe with the destroyed lab, they won't be able to survive. Because now,
Might as well add all these in now. Saying that I'm gonna kind of need to use them. Hey there, Sean. How you doing there, bud? Thanks for saying hi. Appreciate it. Okay, there's that. Fix these. Force tiles are always going to be available, so I don't need to worry about those. Okay, this is where things get a little different here because I have another city to kind of add. And I need to put that there. And I have an extra one there. Okay. Well, it isn't here. Stick it in your bunny ear. And I'll change this boy. Yeah. So there's that. Go ahead and take care of these. And throw you there. Okay. Okay, got you guys there. Go and just cut that. Don't really need it anymore, so. And bam. Okay, so that's all good now. Are we happy now? Will that work? Are you happy? Yeah, it's working on something here. Oh, hey, there we go. Okay, so I was able to get mostly everything kind of fixed here. Having some troubles there with the pathing. Same with that, I would imagine. Yep. Okay, so um, I might need to figure out some way of changing the project name then, seeing that um, their um, the information that they're looking for on the path um, can't handle commas apparently. So okay, but we're about 20 minutes um, left for the stream, and to be honest, um, there's a lot of warnings that I'm gonna kind of need to deal with here. Like for example, this whole aspect of, hey, you you used a field that doesn't actually have any kind of information in it. Well, um, I'm gonna need to put in the proper tiles into that, um, which I might need to kind of look into my assets again, or look into the tile assets that I got, and determine whether or not I actually kind of want to use those assets again. Okay, and then I have to figure out once again how they went about um, filling in those arrays. So it's looking like everything else is good in this. Okay, now it's a matter of making sure that there's information contained within the the resources kind of aspect, so that I can properly pull those specific tiles out, so that I can use that for the board itself. So um, Don't think I really need these. Again, I don't know if I really need these. Um, because these seem like they might be more needed under like the game tile or something on those lines. Um, these are being used, so that's fine. These will most likely need to be used as well as these, so that's fine. I'm using both of these, that's fine. Um, don't think I really need. Okay. No, we kind of need that one, so that's fine. I may need this at some point in time. Let's see. Yeah, I may need to go ahead and comment that line out. Yeah, don't really need this one. I use these other two though, so yeah, as well as that one. So I think we're good there. I'm holding on to prim grid because if I'm going to be using the prims algorithm, I may need to add the individual tiles that I'm going to be pulling from the cities and the I may need to use this to go through Perm's algorithm. We'll see. We'll see because I'm still want to make sure that I got everything kind of handled on the board first. Like I want to make sure that it can actually construct the the grid appropriately. Um, so, but yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and call it here, there, folks. Um, I know it's slightly early, but um, I did a fair amount of work on the board, so and it's looking like um, for the most part, I mean, obviously there's still a lot of warnings or whatnot to kind of deal with. I understand that. Um, but there's a lot of details here that it's like um, I'm not sure if there's anything here that needs to be handled by myself or what. I'm not sure. Um, when you're actually doing, conversion from one utility to another, from one editor to another. I don't know whether or not these are gonna go away or not. Um, I may need to kind of look that up um, next Sunday. Um, then of course there's these values here, um, and I need to fill in these tiles. So that's gonna take a little bit of work, but it doesn't look like there's a lot here that's associated um, with my code directly. It looks like a lot of these warnings are from the conversion um, from the one um from the one editor to the most current editor. So I'm not quite sure how to go about handling all these warnings. Um, it may be along the lines of the path is having an issue. So I'll take care of that by next week. Um, Try to change the file, the project name, into something that um, it will kind of understand. Um, just probably get rid of the ghouls, ghosts, and goblins, and that's already kind of been clarified by the GGG anyway. So I may need to just cut it all out maybe. Um, so yeah, I think that is about it there, folks. So thank you very much for watching. Um, Thank you very much for chatting with me. I appreciate the comments, joining me as I continue this process. Um, um, I may need to look into folks to help me out with the music, with the art, and with the story at some point, so I can get that ball rolling. Um, I need to, so we'll see about those processes. Um, just one of the major lists of things that you kind of need to cover when you're doing your own game. Um, Now here's the thing. Okay, if you're doing it just for kind of practice or whatnot and stuff like that, um, just use whatever assets that you can kind of get a hold of. Okay, um, use Unity's default assets. Use any kind of assets that you can kind of download from their website, or if you're just like using um, little sprites or something like that, then find some downloadable ones that are online. Okay. Um, but because I'm trying to get this into a point where I may be able to sell it later, um, then I want to try to make it as clean as I possibly can. So, um, so that's the reason why I may need to kind of look into um, finding someone that can do the art, that can do the music, um, have some kind of story to this game, that kind of stuff, so that when I do present it to everybody, then then I'm kind of comfortable with it. And if I'm comfortable with it, then I'm hoping that others can kind of appreciate it. So we'll see what happens. But for now, I'm closing it up. So thank you very much for watching. Um, Come by next Sunday. I'll be continuing this process. Um, we'll see about trying to clear all these warnings out. Um, I may just throw in some. Um, I just may throw in some default tiles into the tile map so we can get that moving forward. Just to kind of have something visual that I can kind of see. So we'll see we'll see what happens. So and with that, I'm gonna call it a night. So take care, everybody. See you strangers next time.